The company has been around for over 115 years, I believe, and has expanded quite a bit just beyond the soups that you may be aware of. So she's going to go over a lot of the innovations and the direction and all the changes that's happened and the growth that's happened. So with that, floor is all yours, Rita.
Hello everyone, I'm really pleased to be here. This is an unusual opening because I'm going to start by introducing my team. They are the reason that I go to work every morning at 70, and I don't really plan on retiring too soon. They are my son, and please stand, my son Jason, my eldest, my son Alex, my daughter Anna, my chief engineer who's been with me for 45 years, Mr. Bud Barrett, and my COO who runs the factory for me, Billy Corrali. To succeed in business, having a great idea is just the beginning. True success is built on a foundation of strong support, family, friends, and an exceptional team. I'm fortunate to have all three. My sons, Jason and Alex, and my daughters, Anna and Ruthie, have been a constant source of encouragement and inspiration. Just as importantly, I'm surrounded by talented and dedicated staff who bring a shared vision to life every day. As the saying goes, if you want to go alone, you will go far. Go together, and you'll go by surrounding yourself with good people. And good people are always the best option. It's an essential. When you invest in building your team, you're not just creating successful individuals, you're building the foundation for a successful company, because when your people succeed in business, you will succeed too. I'm very fortunate to have the support of family, friends, and a strong team when my husband Ben passed away in 2014. At the time, we managed different areas of the business, and suddenly I was faced with difficult choices. I was confident running the frozen food side, but I was stepping into unfamiliar territory with the ready-to-use therapeutic foods, RUTF. Ben had managed these life-saving products, which were for malnourished children and sold to USAID. The next 3 years, I threw myself into learning that part of the business and navigating an industry that was new to me. It wasn't easy. Margins dropped, and my co-packer began making an inferior product. Eventually, their company was sold, and the new ownership failed to recognize the value of my product, that what it brought to their bottom line. The sale triggered a mass departure of key personnel, including the CFO and COO, and after that, everything unraveled. But resistance is built in the moments like that. Business isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. When things fall apart, we have to find the strength to push through. That may mean finding a mentor or coach to help us see clearly. It might mean sitting down alone and taking a hard look at our options and making the tough decisions no one else wants to make. But it's how we respond, how we adapt, and persevere. That determines whether we will grow or give in. At that point, I took a hard look at my own skills and the brands our family had built. Our legacy line of frozen soups and broths have been a trusted staple in supermarkets and distributors across the United States for over 40 years. It was a solid line, respected product line, one I had been involved with since joining the Tabatchnick family, getting my start selling the frozen soup. But even legacy brands have an inevitable change. In fact, the only thing you can truly count on in business is that you can't count on everything staying the same. What made this even more challenging was the deep emotional attachment my family had to the brand. After decades of watching it grow, batch by batch, chain by chain, it becomes more than just a product line. It becomes a part of who you are. But the reality is, running a business means making hard choices, even when they hurt. Sometimes honoring the legacy means having the courage to evolve it. And with so many employees depending on the company's success, I had to put their futures and the long-term health of the business ahead of my own sentiment. Leadership isn't about comfort, it's about responsibility. So I learned to change. I worked with my son Jason, and we used data on frozen food trends, explored new sales challenges like Instacart and e-commerce, and shifted our strategy to meet today's consumers where they were. We also implemented seasonal promotions, trimmed the product line, and phased out slower moving items to make room for faster sellers. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Retail is a tough business. Supermarket bright margins are razor thin, and competition in the high stakes food aisle is very expensive. The real estate there is premium. But our soups have always stood out. Since the 1970s, we've offered options that were ahead of their time. Low in calories, salt, and fat, and made without preservatives or additives. Classics like chicken, vegetables, split pea, and mushroom remain strong, but to stay competitive, we must keep evolving. That's why we are now investing in fresh consumer research to develop a new marketing plan. The insights will help us shape how we present the brand to a new generation. And the plan will be shared, and our food brokers will roll out those plans to supermarkets and distributors. Change is hard, especially when it involves something you poured your heart into. But the availability to adapt is what keeps businesses thriving. And that's a legacy I want to leave to my children. As part of the changing landscape in school nutrition is all good one, it's already up. As part of the changing landscape, school nutrition, our kindergarten through 12th grade lunch program. I actually have 4 different programs that I oversee, so I'm just going to run through them. That was obviously the frozen soup, and now I'm transitioning into the school lunch program. And review the compliances and meet the school food regulations. These new standards require all items to be low salt, low sugar, while meeting strict criteria for protein, whole grains, and food servings. That meant reformulating many of our core items, cheese sauces, pastas, and even oatmeal. It's no feat to make a truly delicious whole grain macaroni and cheese, but through persistence and trial and a lot of taste, we got there. What made this process especially meaningful was getting to work side by side with my sons Alex and Jason. Their insights and fresh perspectives were invaluable as we adapted our recipes and refined our offerings. Collaborating with them not only brought new energy to the project, it was also a powerful reminder that we are preparing to hand the torch to the next generation. The work we're doing together wasn't just about meeting regulations. It was about continuing the mission that had meant so much to my late husband. Seeing both step into that vision and help shape its future was both rewarding and inspiring. Whenever you're passing down a family business or training new staff in a corporate setting, one of the greatest marks of leadership is the ability to develop new leaders, and ultimately to make yourself replaceable. As the saying goes, a leader's lasting value is measured by succession. True leadership isn't about control, it's about preparation, trust, and letting go when the time is right. Honestly, the best training I've ever had for being a business owner was being a mother. You want to protect and nurture your children, but you also want to give them the confidence, skills, and encouragement to go out and thrive without you. The same is true in business. You pour your heart out into building something, but real success is watching the next generation take it further than you ever imagined. I decided to make one final attempt to revive the therapeutic food line. That's RUTF, Ready to Use Therapeutic Foods. Partnering with a new co-packer, but it quickly became clear that the capital investment required, specialized machinery, proprietary ingredients, labor, and intense audit demands simply didn't justify the returns. I wasn't able to successfully manufacture the product with the new partner, and in many ways, it felt like I had failed. But in business, failure isn't the end. It's often a redirection. That same co-packer happened to produce, there we go, there she is. Those are my business partners, 2 wonderful women. They're actually soccer moms who started this business they wanted something nutritional, so they started to take peanut butter and make it into different forms so the kids could have a good snack. That's their backstory. Anyway, the same co-packer happened to produce a 16-ounce jar of peanut butter, and in that moment, what looked like the end of a path quietly became the beginning of another. We agreed that Tabatchnick would take the USDA solicitations for peanut butter product. It wasn't easy. We found ourselves up against major global peanut butter manufacturers with deep pockets and long-standing government contracts. But we had grit, determination, and a clear purpose. Today, we're winning 20 to 60 truckloads a quarter, with our sights set even higher. We're working to cut manufacturing costs and increase efficiency so we can continue to grow. Peanut butter is a product I never thought I'd touch, certainly not what I'd ever produce in my own facility. It didn't seem like a natural fit, but as co-packed item, it made perfect sense. It meets real needs: food pantries, school lunches, and families looking for affordable, protein-rich vegetarian options. And consumer attitudes are shifting. The fear around peanut allergies has softened, with doctors now recommending that infants be introduced to peanut products early. In fact, my 6-month-old grandson, Benji, recently had his first taste of peanut butter, and he loved it. Sometimes in business, we have to let go of what was, even if it was successful and tied to someone we loved. To make that incredibly hard decision and walk away from a line that had been both profitable and personally meaningful under my husband's leadership. But we can't move forward while clinging to the past. As painful as it was the right decision. We needed to innovate and evolve. Because the truth is, just because one door closes doesn't mean that the journey is over. Sometimes what feels like failure is simply clearing the way for something even better. With the loss of the therapeutic food group, I had no choice but to pivot. I needed to find a way to bring revenue quickly to keep the factory running and protect the jobs of the people who depended on it. It was a critical moment, one that required both urgency and vision. I turned to my son Alex, who stepped into a leadership role in plant management and operations along with his best friend Billy. Their youth, energy, and fresh ideas brought much needed momentum. I paired that energy with the expertise of our longtime head engineer, Bud, and the steady financial guidance of our CFO. Together we asked the big question: what could we produce that would bring in profit and support the overhead of existing lines? The answer came, okay, I think we're ready to go to the next slide. Oh, no, one back to the group. Oh, there we go. Thank you. The answer came in the form of a simple but powerful idea: the frozen fruit cups in 4-ounce portions. I already understood the frozen fruit business inside and out. I was familiar with USDA solicitations process because we had won bids in the past. Participating in these bids is never a guarantee. It's a calculated risk, but that's the reality every entrepreneur faces. You assess, you act, and you move forward with your faith in your plan. People sometimes ask me, do I like to gamble? My answer is always the same. I don't need to go to the casino. I gamble every single day as a business owner. Every decision carries a risk, but those decisions build the future. I also knew that to grow, we had to expand beyond our soup lines, K-12. So I made a bold decision. We would renovate the factory to include new machines capable of producing and packing fruit cups. I asked our head engineer to locate the right equipment, and he found a used machine that he was able to completely refurbish. We augmented it with machines we already had built, and then built the line ourselves and moved quickly. My family and staff were fully behind me. We launched our first frozen fruit cup in 2018, peach, mixed berry, and strawberry. Our primary customer was the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which supports Food and Nutrition Service and the TFAB program. TFAB is short for Emergency Food Assistance Program. Through USDA, our products were distributed across the country to schools, to food pantries, tribal nations, elder feeding programs, and religious organizations. It felt good once again to be making products that nourished and met a real need. I also sought the support of New Jersey's economic development programs. The NJEDA awarded us a percentage grant and allowed us to purchase additional processing and packaging machines. That investment quickly paid off. We were able to produce significantly more product during an 8-hour shift while achieving higher profit margins. It was a turning point that gave us the momentum we needed to grow more confidently and sustainably. Since 2018, we've continued to upgrade and modernize our facility. We've added new machines, streamlined operations, and most importantly, built internal capacity. Today, we're able to fabricate and maintain our own machines in-house with minimal downtime and control our own production. The key driver of transportation has been my son, Alex. Watching him step into a leadership role, particularly in areas once handled by his father, has been one of the most meaningful parts of this journey. What makes it even more special is seeing him work hand in hand with Jason and his father's 2 closest friends and longtime colleagues, our head of engineering and our CFO. These are the people who helped shape the company's early growth, and now they're helping to guide the new generation. Just like his father before him, Alex is building something meaningful with his best friend Billy by his side. The two of them bring this energy and shared vision onto the factory floor, blending innovation with a deep respect for the company's roots. That camaraderie, trust, and work ethic mirror the partnership that they have. Alex's passion for the business is contagious. He leads with purpose, inspires his team, and values every person who contributes to the process. He's not trying to fill his father's shoes. He's forging his own path while carrying forward the same spirit of dedication, loyalty, and integrity. It's a legacy reborn, not by chance, but by choice, by the people who believe in him. Today we can build and maintain our own in-house maintenance team, and we stock parts for every machine. That's one that's built on a foundation of resilience and innovation, and that paired with experience and purpose can lead to something even stronger than what came before. What else could I do to ensure the success of this new venture? I looked for the niches, the overlooked opportunities. What could I do? I certified my facility as HubZone compliant, and I registered as a woman-owned business and a small business. These certifications gave us a competitive edge, allowing us to build 10% higher than the large primes. A large prime is any business with over 1,200 employees. That mattered, especially when going head-to-head with industry giants. I knew I couldn't outspend them, so I outmaneuvered them. I accepted lower margins in exchange for higher volumes. I focused on fast pennies instead of slow dollars. In 2018, which was our first year producing these fruit cups, I sold 269 trucks of frozen fruit cups to the USDA. In 2024, we sold over 800 trucks. This Thursday, our bid will come out. We put it in like 2-3 weeks ago for USDA, and we're hoping to top 1,000 trucks this year. Across the board, every profit line, every one of my businesses was profitable, and we had more than doubled the business in the last 6 years. But I didn't do it alone. One of the greatest lessons I've learned, no matter how smart or how driven you are, you can't build anything lasting without the right people around you. The team, and building a team takes time. You have to go through a lot of trial and error. You have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find the right people. Some people will shine in the interview and crumble under pressure. Others might not look perfect on paper, but turn out to be the most loyal, capable, and creative team members. Over time, I've learned to spot the difference. And when you find the right people and you share your values, work ethic, and sense of mission, you can invest in them. You can listen to them, and you can give them room to grow and lead. What did I set out to build? A company that would weather change, a factory that could produce both core and co-packed products, a diverse product line that could keep us steady through economic swings and unpredictable conditions. And that strategy wasn't just a plan, it became our safety net. When the pandemic hit, the entire industries came to a standstill. Our school lunch business dropped to zero overnight. Revenue streams became very difficult, but we didn't just survive, we grew, because we still had the USDA business and we still had the soup business. So selling to supermarkets and selling to the government really turned everything around and kept us from being in the negative. We actually emerged stronger after the pandemic than before, so we were extremely lucky. So market shift and consumer preferences evolve. Government budgets change, supply chains break. If your entire business depends on a single product, you're going to have difficulties. So diversification is not just about growth, it's about protection. It's what allows you to take risks without risking everything. It's about what keeps the doors open during turbulent times. When entering the frozen fruit cup space, I took a calculated approach. USDA had been purchasing peach and strawberry cups for a large number of years, and the competition was well established. Instead of going head to head, I favored a new option, mixed berry, a combination of strawberries and blueberries. Because it was new to the program, it leveled the playing field and gave us a chance to compete without historical bias. Not everyone agreed with this decision. There were differences of opinion, especially around the risk and market behavior. But healthy debate is part of leadership. I've never wanted to be surrounded by yes men. At the end of the day, I made the call, took the responsibility, and stood behind the decision. We moved forward with mixed berry, and it became a major success. But none of that came easy, and frankly, it shouldn't have. If it was easy, everyone could do it. The things worth having, the kind of growth that's meaningful and lasting, are the things you have to work as a team to get. It takes grit, persistence, and the willingness to take the hard road when it would be easier to take an easy one. That's been the Tabatchnick food story. Thoughtful, risk, resilience, and a willingness to adapt as the world shifts around you. The lessons: know your strengths, trust your judgment, don't let emotional attachment keep you tied to ideas that no longer serve the business. If something is failing, let it go. You may love it, but if it's not loving you back, it's time to move on. And above all, invest in people. The right team will challenge you, grow with you, and help you turn challenges into opportunities. Oh, I think we can go to the next slide. Sorry, Chef. Success doesn't happen alone, and it doesn't happen by accident. It's earned. One decision at a time, and one breakthrough at a time. If I have any time left, I can take some questions.
You have 5 minutes.
Oh, good, I have 5 minutes. Does anyone have any questions about anything like this? No one? Okay, cool. All right.
I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember me. I used to work at NJIT at the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, which is now called the Apex Accelerators, and they help businesses get connected to federal opportunities. So if you've got a product and you are looking to sell it to the federal government, they can do bid matching and let you know when product is being sold. And I know you were one of the really success stories from the procurement organization, and at the time, again, it was with that frozen fruit cup line that you had. So again, for those of you who have products that you're looking to sell, this is another resource from the state to help you get lined up with federal funding opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely, and I was very fortunate. I went to NJIT, and they helped you fill out the woman-owned business. Anyone who's ever dealt with the government, there's a lot of forms. You have to be very patient, but in the end, it's really worthwhile, primarily because they pay their bills. So if you have a situation like I'm in the soup business, which is retail, there's all kinds of deductions and promotions that you have to do. Retail is great, but the government business, if you're willing to take the risk on the bids, it's really worth it because they pay their bills on time within 30 days, and it's nice to know that someone's not going to deduct off your bill.
Any last questions? Take one more. Where is Tabatchnick Foods based, and where did it get started initially?
Oh, well, we're about 10 minutes from here. I'm right on Hamilton Avenue.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's where the factory is. We moved there in the 1990s. We were very fortunate. My husband had, the owner of the building was very kind to my husband and myself. He saw 2 young people trying to move into different directions. When we say we go back to 1905, that's the delicatessen business that my father-in-law had started. And, but we haven't been in the delicatessen business for over 20 years. And I can't really say I miss it, because you work every single holiday, you work 7 days a week. And the idea had been we would transition from the delicatessens into the supermarket business. And then when my husband and I bought out my in-laws in the 1990s, that's when we moved into school lunch and we began to do government contracting. Because the idea was to diversify the business. As I'm sure I've kind of beaten to death in this speech, if you have one product that you make, and if that product runs into difficulties, you're gonna have problems. But because I have 4 different businesses, I have the frozen soup, I have the peanut butter business, I have K-12, and I have my USDA business, which is primarily a bid business. If something's down, something else will carry it. And that's exactly what happened during the pandemic, and that's what happens now. And I plan on taking some of the margins that I've been very fortunate to have with the frozen fruit business and putting that into expanding my retail business, because the retail business is extremely costly. And the price to go into, for me to add like new products, like my product line is relatively extensive. I probably have 10 different varieties of frozen soup, but every time I want to make a presentation to the supermarkets, retail's very expensive. It could cost me $25,000 an item, plus I have to put marketing expense behind it. So you really need some deep pockets for retail. So it's nice to have something else that can support it that perhaps doesn't need as much marketing.
I can't remember the deli, because that's no material in my life.
Yeah, well, we had Highland Park. We had a delicatessen in Highland Park.
That's
Okay. Anybody else? Anyone want to know about how you sell to the government or anything else? Otherwise, I show her, so I guess I can go now. Thank you very much for your time.